Welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. This is Extra Tyne. I'm Jess and I've been joined by my co-host, Laura. How are you doing, Laura?
I'm good, thanks.
Good to have you on. We're also being joined this week by Chris. You all right, Chris?
Hi, you all right?
Yep, good to have you on. And we're also joined by Roger.
Hiya, thanks for having us.
Hello, you're more than welcome. Thanks for coming on. So we're just going to quickly talk about the game, try and get through that as quickly as we can. Don't really want to dwell on things too much. So yes, we played Arsenal on Monday night. I actually got the score right. I predicted last week in the predictions that we would be 3-0, and sadly I was correct. This now means that we're winless in 7 Premier League games and 9 in all competitions. Laura, how are you feeling?
Well, I was relatively happy when I seen the lineup, 4-4-2, a bit different, 2 strikers. But in the first 10 minutes, I thought it was really positive. I thought we were pressing high, but final ball crossing was so poor. I mean, I know we spoke about it in the group chat, but when it came up that we only had 25% possession in the first 10 minutes, I was quite shocked because it felt like we had more of the ball. But I think when I've reflected, I think that's possibly because we were doing something with the ball when we had it. We weren't going backwards. We were actually going forwards. We were trying to score.
Yeah.
But yeah, the final ball was so poor. He said we were going to go back to basics, but he played Miggy on the right, who's left-footed, so can't cross. And he played Joe Linton on the right. And so it just didn't work. So surely that's not back to basics, which is what he said in the first place.
Well, yeah, I don't really know what because he said we need to forget about tactics. We're gonna go back to basics. The gloves are off. Chris, what's your thoughts when he's coming out with all this bollocks? Like, what's he?
That's a nice way to put it.
Very diplomatic.
Yeah. So basically, when he said the gloves are off, it's just like he's going to do it his way now. What do you mean by that? Like, what you've been doing for the past 18 months? You know what I mean?
Well, that's it, isn't it?
Like, so whose way have you been doing it? But yeah, same as Laura there. I thought the first 10 minutes we actually pressed. We were looking like we actually wanted it for a change. We went for it. When we had possession, we went forward. We were chasing them when they had the ball. But that was literally the first 10 minutes.
I was just going to say,
after that, obviously, Arsenal took over. We went back, reverted back to type. We literally just went back to how we've been the last few, this season, really, apart from the odd couple of games. But it was just, after that, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was dire. I mean, for him to do it his way, and then it's 3-0 down, bring on Jeff Hendrick. Roger, what your head in hand? That was. I think there was just a resounding face palm in the area when he did that. I mean, what was he thinking?
Well, I mean, I think none of us are able to understand what Steve Bruce is ever thinking, because I think he lives. And Donald Trump's gone, but like we are still living in alternative facts, because it's like there's 4 levels. There's like the players' reality, the fans' reality, Bruce's reality, and then the press. And that, like, what he comes out with about, like, you know, we did start the game with a little bit more intent than usual, but like he'll be like, oh well, the first half was this, and you're like, what are you watching? And then the players come out and they say, oh well, the first half wasn't great, and you're like, no, the whole game was terrible. And when Jeff Hendrick comes on, it like, you're just replacing like for like. There's no, he's not dynamic. He's a crab. That's all he is.
Yeah.
Back to Darlow. Hoof it. Hope that Wilson gets something. And it was about Bruce playing players in the wrong positions. Like, it's horrendous.
But he took who did he take off?
Carroll.
Andy, he brought Carroll off and brought Murphy on, who can actually cross the ball, and Andy can't get on the end of it. And it was like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of crosses, Shelvey, both of his corners went straight to the first defender.
Yeah.
Chris, how are you feeling about Shelvey? I'm always one who. Obviously, you always will them to do well, and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I think he's past it now, and I think it's time to just bin him off and replace.
I've always been in the camp where like I like John Joe Shelvey. I always have, but because he gives something that none of the other midfielders can in our team. Like he has the passing range that none of the other players have. But that was always his thing. The work rate, you'd kind of obviously look past if you had players playing alongside him that could do that for him.
Yeah.
But when he's not even supplying them passes or beating the first man or the corner, what is he there for?
Well,
That was it. Like if he's not even doing what he was good at, what he's there for, what is the point? Do you know what I mean? It's that I've always backed Shelvey. He's always been one of my favourite players. But like that game, I just thought, if you're not even beating the first man at a corner, what are you there for? Basically, do you know what I mean?
I think for me, Shelvey is like he's like a beautiful tropical plant who like
he's a luxury, isn't he? He's a luxury.
If you feed him right, if everything's perfect, if the botanical garden is beautiful, then he's an asset. But he's more likely to poison the rest of the flowers and absolutely destroy your garden. And like
that's one of the best analogies.
Whenever I see him as like when he wears the captain's armband, like I physically like die inside because like if he's your captain, if he's who you're putting your call on to say, right, this is what guy who's going to lead us through the storm, like you're up the creek completely because he's just so unreliable and he's just as likely to get sent off as he is to knock a 45-yard pass.
Yeah.
And he can do that.
Yeah.
But he can get sent off.
He's very unpredictable, isn't he?
Totally, aye. Totally.
I feel like you don't know which you put him out on the pitch and you don't know which John Joe Shelvey you're going to get.
He's a 1 in 8. He's a 1 in 8 player. You know, when we're in the championship, he's fine. He's the best player in the championship, but the levels are so much harder.
But he's not even. How old is he? He's not.
He's like 28, 27.
Yeah, he's not exactly like past it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if anything, he should be at his peak, maybe just coming over his peak.
Yeah.
But for me, especially this season, he's just been, which I think we've said about so many other players, he's just been a passenger and he's just.
It looks like he's relaxed under Bruce, doesn't it? It looks like he's just happy to have someone who's not going to demand work.
Yeah, because he's that pal. He's dead canny out. Like,
go out and play. Just go out and play. Whereas Rafa was like, do this, do that, do this, go there, go there.
Actual tactics.
Well, Rafa, if you think Rafa had him in and out of the team all the time because he didn't trust him.
Attitude, though. I think it's all about Shelvey's attitude.
Yeah. But if you look at the 11 we had starting the game in Arsenal, 7 of them have been relegated.
Yeah, that's damning, isn't it?
We've got a team of losers. Like really. We have, like,
we really do.
And I'm like bringing it down now, like, but
thanks.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
But I think one of the main talking points about the game wasn't actually about the game. So obviously it was Monday Night Football, and you get Carragher and you get Neville, and they have the big debate. And the debate that they had on Monday caused quite a lot of controversy amongst fans. So I've made a couple of notes of what was said. So Neville said, we've been appalling for 10 to 12 years, which I don't disagree with. What I do disagree with is the bringing up the fan expectations and saying they expect the attacking football and they expect this and they expect that, which we don't. But he also said, when he was doing the whole Bruce versus Rafa comparison, that he didn't see a difference in the football. Rafa's football wasn't always pleasant to watch, but we often got the job done, and we looked organised, and we looked like we had a game plan, and the players knew where they were supposed to be, and they knew what they were doing, and they wanted to graft for him. Laura, how did you feel when you were watching them talk on Monday night?
Well, I'm about to go on a rant, so apologies. Everyone. I am sick of the Rafa v Bruce comparisons, but they keep bringing it up, so I'm going to address it. So they hate it when we're supported with manager. They hate it when we don't like with manager. I'm not too sure what they want. I did agree with Carragher when he said all we want's hope, because that's all we want. We don't expect Champions League. We don't expect nothing. We just want a team that tries, a team with a plan, and Rafa gave that. And I totally didn't agree with Neville either when he said Rafa got away with a lot because of the rapport with fans.
Yes.
Really, that is a massive part of being a manager of a football club, especially in Newcastle. Everyone loves the football. And Rafa got that. Rafa understood us, and it was so key. I mean, in the community and everything. I remember he did loads for my school. We went to meet him. He was really, really great. And I just think they don't understand it, and I'm sick of them bringing it up. And I'm not. And Bruce just makes digs constantly and gets defensive, whereas Rafa comes out and says it the way it is. Says like when Bruce, my dad made a good point. He said when Bruce came out and did that interview and was like, "Well, I think we've played 4-4-2 before. You know, I'm sure we've played it about 5 times now. I think we might have won." Or you think you're the manager? You should know. I would know exactly the plate and everything. But then. I'm going off on a tangent a bit, but someone's obviously put 50 pence in it. But
go for it. Keep going.
I'm going to. Darren Bent on Twitter this week enraged us as well, because I'm sure all of us here doing this little podcast have wrote down some notes. We've watched some videos. We've went back and wrote down some facts about what we want to say. They obviously just don't, because they do no research. And he said, like you said, Jess, football's just the same. It's not. Jake Humphrey put that tweet up and I wrote it down. With Rafa, we were the joint sixth for goals scored, 7th for chances created, 9th for shots on target. Compare that to Bruce now. We're pretty much last for everything. How can you say then that's the same?
But there was a point. There was a point to what we were doing under Benitez, and now we're just trying for a point. Like that's all we're doing. Just get a point, and then if we get anything else, it's a bonus because his remit is stay up. Whereas Benitez was canny. Like he played the fans as well. Like and he knew the buttons to press, and he knew how to get people behind him. And again, he got the press on side, he got the fans on side, and he knew that would carry him through the harder times that we did hard. Because I remember we played Brighton. We're in the middle of a really bad run, and we played a boring nouts each. Laura, me, you, and your father probably talked the whole game. It was a terrible game, but it was nils each, and it was the end. We'd been on a losing streak, and he was like, right, we're not losing this game. Whatever happens, we're not losing the game. I remember Atsu went forward, and he went to the side, and they just didn't want to get beat. And that was the end of a bad run, and then we went on a good run. But with Bruce, it's like, let's just throw the players' names up, see what lands. Right, that's where 11.
You can't see where it's going to end, can you? Really, you can't see where win's going to come from, can you? No, that's what it is.
Not at all. But in some positive news this week, can't actually believe that there was any. Kieran Clark has signed a new contract with the club. I think it's a 2-year.
2 years, yeah. 2 years.
So, obviously it's good news. But Chris, do you think that this means Bruce is staying?
I hope not.
Do you think this is his doing, or do you think it's an indication of the future? Like, are we setting that as our benchmark? Like, Kieran Clark's I love Kieran Clark. I love Kieran Clark. Like, I don't think he's barely put a foot wrong. But is that us resigning to the fact that this is our level?
I think it might be just kind of in case. Do you know what I mean? It's like if things don't go how we want them to go. Kieran Clark is one of them players that you can rely on. He's one of them players that you need in your team. He's going to be good for us in the Premiership, and he's also going to be brilliant for us in the Championship. So he's one of them players that... That's the only way I can see it going at the moment. If Bruce stays, we will go down. That's I can't look at it any other way, to be honest.
It's an easy deal, isn't it? Like
that's how depressing it is at the minute. Yeah. If Bruce stays, we go down. That's how I can't see it any other way. That's it.
No, I totally agree.
Kieran Clark is a good player, Premier League or Championship, whichever it may be at the end of the season. So it's a good decision in my book.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the things that I did notice was just a couple of days previous to that, previous to the contract extension being announced, Yedlin came out and said that he's yet to hear from Newcastle, him or his agent, so he's unsure as to what that means for him. Roger, what did you think about that when the news about Clark came out?
I mean, I think it's an easy deal because he's not going to be on big, relatively big wages. It's only 2 years. Any manager who would come in would be happy to have him in the squad. So should Bruce go, you know what you're going to get from Clark. Like, he's a left-sided defensive central defender, which is good. He never, he's not spectacular, but he never lets me down, really. And he comes up with the odd goal every so often. So it was for me, like, you're not celebrating it, but like, you're like, aye, that makes sense, because whether Bruce stays or not, Kieran Clark will have a place within the squad. With the Edlin, I would just pedal him. Like, I think Benitez got a little bit more out of him, but he's not an intelligent fullback, and he's quick, but Jesus, he can't cross. Wow. Like, he's terrible. Like, but then you've got like Manquillo, who's, I like Manquillo. He's on a longer
surprise,
contract now.
Isn't he? How well he done when he come back into the team.
And like Shaw, I think he's a red card waiting to happen within the next few weeks, because he just looks increasingly frustrated every game he plays. He's coming to the end of a contract. But Fernandez, I would sign Fernandez up as well with the same idea as Clark, because he's probably, I think Lascelles has dropped off, but that might be a COVID related thing. But I think Fernandez is a good, solid defender. You know what you're going to get. And like, if we play the rest of the season with him and Clark, I'd be relatively satisfied, like, that they could do a job for her. Yeah. But yeah, I would Yedlin off.
Yeah.
See you
Laura, if there was anyone who maybe whose contract's coming to an end this season or next, who you would be desperate to snap up and make sure that would keep them, who would it be?
Really liked Dummett, and I know.
In the center of, in the left side of a three.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I'm trying to think of who else. Callum Wilson is he coming to an end, or?
He's just signed, wasn't he?
No,
he'd be on a 3 or 4 year deal.
I think other players like Lazar and not Lazar. What's his name? Yeah, Ashraf Lazar. He's at the end of his contract.
Surely he's at the end.
I think it's mainly the defenders whose contracts were. I had a quick look earlier, and it's them who, like, all their contracts seem to be 2021, 2022, and then it's like the rest of the pitch where we seem to have people here who are going to be staying for what feels like forever.
When the Shelby contract
got to go.
Shelby's tomorrow, I hope. But yeah, so this week, it was the anniversary of one of the greatest moments of Newcastle United history. Matt Ritchie kicked the corner flag straight into some poor, unsuspecting man's bollocks in celebration of Hayden's last-minute goal against Chelsea, which I also didn't realise, by the way, happened in the same. That was obviously one drunken blur, because I didn't realise that was in the same week as Legion's 2 last-minute goals against Everton. So
two well-deserved points there.
What a few days that was. So we thought that we would have a look at our favourite goal celebrations, goal aftermaths, not necessarily goals themselves, but just what's happened after the goal. We've all picked our favourites. We went out to Twitter, Evening Chronicle. I'm expecting my check in the post for stealing our content. I was raging. So we've all got our favourites. We've went out to Twitter, and we've got a few from Twitter as well. We'll just have a little discussion. I'll come round everyone. We'll talk about our favourites, talk about why. I'll start with mine, which I think everyone's probably going to have this in their top 5 at least. It's Jonas against West Ham. It was obviously it was the goal that what people say kept us up. I know it didn't, but let's just say it did. It was the goal. It was the goal that kept us up. It was the goal that kept us up. Obviously, he'd come back from having cancer. He'd been treated like absolute shite by the club when he was at his lowest, and just to see him run, he whipped his top off. I was celebrating there as well.
Chris whipped his top off.
Celebrating here.
He whipped his top off. He ran round the pitch, cupped his ears. if you watch the video back, which I will actually watch today, you see Tim Krul just legging it round aimlessly, just in the air. John Carver and the bench are going absolutely mental. And I was actually at work when it happened, but I worked in a bar. And it was my best friend's 21st the night before in Huddersfield. So I was brutally hungover. I'd got the train back up, literally got off the train, went to my shift in the pub, and they had the game on in the pub, and it just went off. Like, literally grown men crying in the pub. Like, it was just absolutely incredible. But obviously, were you there?
Yeah, I was there. Roger, were you next to us then?
I was in Ibiza at the time.
Right. Well,
I was in Ibiza in a bar with multiple screens, so they're all watching the different permutations going on. And I went absolutely akabusi when that's it was unbelievable.
Obviously, all the TV cameras were there because we could have got relegated. And I just remember walking to the match with my dad and Stephen, and my dad was like, "Laura, don't cry if we get relegated. Don't dare cry because the camera switch." So Jonas scored. I turned around because I sit in front of him. My dad's hugging Stephen. Cheers. I was like, "You fucking cry," and he was like, "I can't help it. Can't help it." So,
that's
true,
happy,
man.
that's my favourite, though, isn't it? That's a happy cry.
Yeah.
Chris, were you there?
So I actually wasn't there. My friend at the time was having a barbecue, and he got all the lads round for the last game of the season. Well, sorry, for that game. And where I live, obviously, it's mixed supporters. So it's not all Newcastle fans. So there are. It goes one of three ways. You're either a Newcastle fan, a Sunderland fan. Don't hate us for that, but it's either a Newcastle fan, Sunderland fan, or you go the other way and you're either a Glory supporter like Man United or Liverpool.
Yeah.
So he got a load of lads round and we all watched the game, and this is how much of a good goal that actually, like how much of a moment that was. Everyone in that house celebrated that goal because it was Jonas. Like that goal was more than just football. Like it was for Man United fans and Sunderland fans as well to also celebrate because he scored that goal, because it meant so much, obviously, of what he'd been through. That was just like the moment for me. That has to be mine. Like, obviously, that would be my number one. Like, if that was,
it was like Santiago Munez scoring.
It was just unbelievable, wasn't it? It was meant to be.
It was like as if it had been written. Like it was just, it was absolutely perfect. And like I say, when you watch it back and you see, like, unfortunately it was John Carver on the bench, but when you see John
best
Carver,
manager in the league,
in his opinion,
mental, in his and only his opinion, I think. But yeah, that was. I mean, I would probably say that was the vast majority of people's favourite, or at least in their top three. Roger, what did you have?
Oh, where do you want to start? I'll try and keep it. Really, I loved, like, Craig Bellamy was like, I mean, Solano's my favourite player of all time, but Bellamy, there's so many moments where Bellamy scored and it's been like a real moment. I particularly liked when Souness was a manager, and it was like the fag end of his, before he went off to Celtic. And after every goal, if you look, he's so angry. Like, and it's like a blissful anger that everybody feels towards Graham Souness. And we're playing Man City. It was like 2-0, 2-2, 3-2, 3-3. And then Bellamy scored in like the dying embers of the game. And he's so angry. Like, it's just like, and you can see like Bruce, and then Bruce, Freudian slip. But like Souness / Bruce is like, come on. And Bellamy's like, but my favourite Bellamy moment was Feyenoord.
That was
like the whole trip, the whole day, like from nearly getting attacked by, well, we did get attacked by Feyenoord fans standing on the platform, to getting escorted by Dutch police holding big dogs, and then getting in the ground and 2-0 up, 2-2, and then when Dyer shot and then it fell to Bellamy, it was just like it was one of the best feelings in my life. And I think anyone who was there, that moment when the ball hit the net and you just it was just like it was like all these probably 5,000 fans just became like one big like gloop of like arms, fists, legs, and like I had Batman. There was kids dressed behind us like in fancy dress. So I grabbed Batman, grabbed Robin, and it was like and we went for a roll down these thingies. Ended up on my back, and then at the end it was really good because the Dutch police kept us in. And the glow, the energy was still there from the goal. Yeah. And they put on the screen our best, like it was almost like a highlights video of Newcastle they must have found. So that it was like the history of Newcastle. So all sat there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, just watching this.
Oh my God, that's
amazing.
amazing.
It was just, honestly, it was unbelievable. The best thing about it, apart from the goal, was before the game, a red piano and a white piano, grand pianos, two guys, and like whipping the Feyenoord fans up, and like that is how you build an atmosphere. It was absolutely incredible, unbelievable.
That's the one game that I wish I'd been at. If I was to pick a game, like that would be it. Unbelievable, like how we scored in that.
It was just minute. Unbelievable. And then notable mentions for Robbie Elliott, Funky Chicken against Leicester, the original Funky Chicken, Peter Beardsley when he scored against Middlesbrough. And his son was behind the goal, and he like grabbed his son, and his son was like didn't know what the hell was going on. Ginola against Man United when he was the most Gallic he's ever been in his life. When he turned Neville, scored a goal, and then was like, yes.
And he got grabbed by everyone.
And then Alex Maffey's spoof when he scored against Chef Wed. And then if you watch the video, Roger Thames goes, Keegan looks skywards. And like, but Bellamy against Feyenoord was just out of this world.
Oh, they're good, them ones. No one said it.
Definitely.
The sad thing is, if you've supported Newcastle in the last 20 years, or you say you're 20-year-old now and you've been a Newcastle fan, all you've known is Mike Ashley and 13 years of absolute bilge. And you've never known that, and this is like a heartbreaking thing for me.
I'm 27, and I mean I've been watching since I was like tiny, like very very little. But the vast majority of what I know of Newcastle United is Mike Ashley's Newcastle United. Do you know what it was? What made us like realize how different things were and could be was the first lockdown when we started showing the games on a Saturday afternoon, because obviously there was no football on.
Great shout, I forgot about that.
So they started showing like classic games, and it was the Man United game, and it was just and just watching that, you were like as if that was us, and that, do you know what I mean? Like obviously I don't remember the game, but that Albert's goal for that actually got a mention on Twitter. But Laura, I'll come to you. What is your
again? I've got loads. My favourite ever was Jonas, but again, which I was shocked that nobody. Well, I don't know about you, but I didn't see anyone on Twitter. Was Gales against Barnsley when we won the championship?
No one did that.
He did the whole going down. So that whole carnage what followed, because obviously we didn't know if we'd won it or not. And there was like I sit right next to the singing corner, and everyone started like cheering as if like we'd won it. And I don't know how they got signal in St. James's. But my friend was ringing us, and I was trying to speak to him, and he was like, I think Brighton have scored. And I was going, no, we haven't won it. And then we got the message that Grealish had scored to make us win, and it was just absolute carnage. And my dad missed it. He went to the toilet, so he was all the way back there, and we were like all celebrating. It was just... I'm surprised nobody really mentioned that one.
Gail did get a mention, but it was the goal against Norwich, and it was when Shelby picked up the ball. But no one did mention that one actually.
But there's loads Almiron's first goal was dead.
Yeah,
that was good.
Because obviously when you're there, you don't really see the celebration on the pitch because you're too busy celebrating with everyone around you.
yeah.
I watched
Absolutely.
it back, and when he's hugging that little boy, and everyone in the stadium was just like a proud father.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that was it. It was just before Christmas as well.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Ketspire.
Got lost count. I wrote him down every time I saw his name in the replies on our tweet. I was just like, for God's sake, because everyone mentioned it. So I went back and watched it, and it's absolutely incredible. You're talking about Craig Bellamy being angry. He's just picking everyone. It's just absolutely class.
What I wrote down about that was how, obviously, I didn't know, but my dad said it was Pistoni trying to calm him down. But then when the game's about to resume, little John Beresford's trying to calm him down. It just looks so funny, the height difference, and he's like, calm down.
And Aspria against Metz as well, when he picked up he got the flag with the shirt and
waved it around,
and like waved it on his first goal. Like,
I think someone tweeted us that one, and they were like, but please ignore the fact that he got booked and missed the next game.
and he had the biggest, whitest Fruit of the Loom t-shirt on underneath his shirt. Like, what is that about? Like, now it's all like skin tight, you can't grab your shirt. Tino's like, grab the shirt, what are you going to do about it?
There was another one, which is also one of my favourites, was obviously Tiote against Arsenal. But my favourite bit about that was Steve Harper.
The elbow drop.
Just piles in on top of it.
But I didn't realise how much he missed everybody though. So everyone's a big pile on and he misses them all.
Oh,
I've got absolutely no idea what was going through his head at the time, but he just like...
And they say wrestling's fixed, you know, he didn't plan that. Like,
I don't know if there's any that we've missed. Oh, there was a mention for Keegan's debut goal against QPR, which I've not actually seen, so I'm not sure what that one was. And then there was Cissé's first goal when Demba Ba and Papa Cissé just did that iconic photo.
Malcolm teeth as well in the promotion season, where he came in. I think we got him from Millwall, and he filled in while I think Andy Cole was injured, maybe, and he scored a few goals. But he was a classic old school. He had no teeth. He had his front teeth were out. So when he scored, Laura Askefala, he'd be like, and he had no teeth there, and he was like, it was iconic. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Speaking of me dad, I promised that for the older listeners that we would mention this one. Obviously, none of us were born, I don't think, but the 1974 semi-final against Burnley at Hillsborough.
Tudor.
He was there, so it was just carnage, apparently. Best goal that he's ever seen. Yeah. Always talks about it. I know when we're in the monkey bar after the match, Tommy Cassidy goes in.
Tommy Cassidy.
Well, again, not too sure, but he always sits in the same place. And when he has had a few too many, he always brings the goal up.
Did you ever talk about Tony Green?
No, I don't think so.
Tony Green. They signed him from Blackpool. His name's Tony Green. Great player. Before my time, but I've been told all about him off my uncle. Unbelievable.
There's absolutely loads, isn't there? I went through everyone's tweets today, and it was just so nice to just have something positive about Newcastle United, even though it's in the past. It was just nice. I do have to mention from Josh Banyard, who it wasn't a goal celebration, but he did say that his favourite was when Lauren Robert was saying goodbye, and he stripped off and was just in his pants, and that was one of my favourites as well, even though it wasn't a goal.
I can't believe we haven't mentioned the 5-1 Sunderland as well.
The pylon after the overhead kick.
I wasn't there. I didn't have a season ticket then. So I was just in the bars. I was in Mood in the Gate, living the dream. And it was like my first experience of if we scored a goal, pints went flying. Yeah. And my friend was just amongst it, like getting like swilled and everything. And then it all kicked off, didn't it? And we ended up being locked in Mushroom. And I don't think there's a better place in town to be locked, to be honest.
We weren't allowed out.
on the lockdown in Mushroom. Oh my God.
Mushroom, it was brilliant.
The commentator, I watched that one back today, and he went, "A pile of Geordie joy." I was like, "Yes, that is a great description," because they were all just
what it was, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I was saying today, I don't know if this whole topic would cheer her up or just depress her. That it's never
lifted the
right,
mood.
Well, get me up, but I'm gonna bring the mood back down again.
Oh, bollocks.
We have got.
We've got to talk about the current now, have we?
We have, well, the future. We are going to Villa Park on Saturday against a Villa side who have been affected by COVID. They've had quite a few games postponed and stuff, and they're coming into the game off the back of a 2-0 loss against Man City, which was last night, I think it was. Was it? Well, it doesn't matter. Whenever it was. Chris. Whenever, I know, God, it's just one long day at the minute, isn't it? Chris, how are you feeling about the game on Saturday?
Not very optimistic, if I'm being honest. Villa are capable on their day, aren't they? So, especially if we're playing them away. So, they're a good side. I worry about Jack Grealish because we always seem to struggle against players that kind of play in that free role. I mean, we're just it's something that we don't have. Someone that can play in that role. So he brings players into the game that like him. Obviously, is a worry, and I just really worry for us at the minute. I just can't see where we're going to score. Like I can't see how we're going to score at the minute. That's the problem. I
think we don't look like scoring anyway, and then I think Villa are pretty solid at the back. Like
that's the thing.
Martinez,
Martinez, the keeper. Yeah,
like he's been my fantasy team keeper this season, and my God, he's absolutely brilliant. Roger, how are you feeling about the game? Silence is definitely
one of them, Bob. No, I think like Villa are like they're patchy, but like everything about us is like if we win, it's like a vindication of Steve Bruce. So like probably maybe that, but like I think a lot of fans are probably at odds where you never want your team to lose, but you don't want Steve Bruce to win because he'll come on and be, oh, maybe I'm not such a bad manager after all, and give it all that spiel, and then we'll win another game, and then we'll be back to this 7, So I think Villa have got, like Chris was saying, like Villa have got the tools to beat her. They've got the tools to keep her out, and like we're self-harm. Like when we defend deep, we might concede. When we try and attack, we're still conceding, we don't score. And it's like, he doesn't know what his best 11 is. He doesn't know how to set a team up.
It's scary that. He's been in the job 18 months and he doesn't know his best team.
Well,
I think somebody put the combination of like centre midfield partnerships, and it's like,
how many?
How can you've got a squad of how many players, how many midfielders? How can you have that many combinations, man? It's absolutely crazy. So no, I'm not very in short, to summarize, no, I'm not that
confidence. Nope.
So then straight off the back of that, on Tuesday night we've got Leeds at St James's Park. Not that it matters because no one's there. This is a Leeds side who have lost the last 3. One of the games that they lost was against Crawley. Laura, do you think, can we right the wrongs of the game against Leeds last month?
No.
But
again, I think you don't know. It's so unpredictable. You don't know what team he's going to put out against Villa, and then I think whatever happens on Saturday will then just like decide what happens against Leeds. He'll decide what team he puts out. He doesn't have like a trustworthy. Well, it doesn't appear that he trusts any partnership or any players. It's like he's testing them all the time. Just, we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens there. But I would like to see a bit more Gale. I think he was in training today. I seen on Twitter. So even obviously it's not working. Not that I'm blaming Carroll or Wilson because they don't get the service.
They don't get the ball.
So it's not their fault at all. But put Gale in for a bit pace. Put like he'll then like step back and help in midfield a bit as well. Whereas, and then maybe I know you aren't going to agree with us off what you said earlier, but it's about opinions, isn't it? And Yedlin against Villa, I think, for the pace, because I was watching them last night. They didn't deserve to get beat 2-0. And Grealish like frightens us. And I think if it's between Kraft or Yedlin, I would personally go with Yedlin for the pace to try and match it.
He'll absolutely run rings around Kraft. Like it would. That's not something that I want to watch, because I think that would just be absolutely horrendous. But I mean, we're going into a period where we've got 6 games in 3 weeks. Surely this is the time when Steve Bruce should be picking an 11 and sticking with it, especially when we're going into games which we're going into it with quite low expectations. Do you know what I mean? So pick an 11, stick with it, and see what happens. Personally, that's what I would do.
I think you need consistency. Like like I was saying, like if he picks, I think Gale and Wilson could work really well together.
Yeah,
and then if you, I mean, it's a crazy concept, but like practice playing with them. Like if you're gonna play Almiron, like Almiron could be a decent winger for and get him on the left side and get the balls in. It's just, who do you play in other? It's like he doesn't know who he plays in other positions. Like I would always play Richie if he's fit, because I think we need, like I would rather have Richie or Lascelles or Clark as a captain than Shelby. Because like I am scared of Matt Ritchie. Like he scares us, and I imagine like we need players like that who are going to pull players accountable. Nobody's accountable. The manager's not accountable for the bad results. The players aren't accountable. Like he slags them off, and then he wonders why they've got any confidence. And you're like, well, hello, mate. Like you've just told them that they're relegation for it every season. So what do you expect? But I think it's Leeds. I do think it's funny that when Karen Carney she said about them getting promoted, and it was benefited by the fact that the COVID, they had a bit of respite. And she wasn't like slagging the team off. She was just stating a fact, like
just saying it helped basically.
It helped them, because they have dropped off because of the intensity that they play with. And then as soon as they like called her out on it, they've gone on this like awful run.
Properly proven right, really, hasn't she?
Yeah, but then again, who's coming next?
But then again, does an awful run even mean that they're not going to win against us? Because Sheffield United hadn't won a game until the playoffs.
Well, exactly. I mean, there you go. Well, obviously, none of all 4 of us. I don't think any of us are going into any of this with any hope. So I'll quickly come round and get some predictions. So Villa at Villa Park on Saturday. Chris, what are you saying?
I'm going to say a 2 or 3-0 to Villa. To be fair, as much as I don't want to say that, I want us to compete in every single game, but I just don't see how. I don't see us playing well against Villa. Like they've got what they need to beat us. Like Grealish scares the life out of me.
Yeah,
absolutely scares the life out of us.
Villa.
I'll go with 2, but
2-0.
Yeah, if you 2 plus VAT.
I don't even know what VAT is. Laura, what are you thinking for Villa?
I'm gonna go with the hope that we'll have to score in one game.
Come on.
Yeah, but we'll still get beat. But we'll have to score. I'm going to go.
You too much.
No. So I'm going to go 3-1 again.
Right. So we're all in agreement. I'm going to go 2-1 Villa. So we're all in agreement. We're going to get beat on Saturday. Are things going to change on Tuesday? Chris, what do you think for the Leeds game?
I think if they are, we need to get at Leeds, because I think it's shown all season. I don't know how Bruce didn't see this in the first game, that Leeds are not very good at defending set pieces. Why didn't we play Andy Carroll, whose his game is set piece? His game is obviously in the air, isn't it? So why didn't we do that? Why didn't even like? Do you know what I mean? We just didn't even look at that option. It's as if he's so tactically like inept that he doesn't know what to do against certain teams. Like how if we know this, how don't you know this?
That's pretty much. I don't.
You know what I mean? Like,
if he doesn't do his homework, does he? Just
it's like, we'll just play the same system against every single team, and we'll just not even have any kind of tactics, and just hope. His hope was that St. Maximin would do everything for him, basically.
Well,
and now he's not in the team.
The pressure on him now, hasn't he?
Now he's not in the team. Like, it's shown how much he actually relied on him to get a result. How much he relied on him to beat a player, whip it into Wilson. Oh, sorry, him to whip it into Wilson, and Wilson to score the goals. So that's how much he relied on him. And now he hasn't got him. He literally doesn't have a plan B. He doesn't know what to do. So without that plan B, we're kind of screwed. Like,
have you got a score for Tuesday for the Leeds game?
For the Leeds game, I'll go hopeful and I'll say 1-1.
Come on.
I'll say 1-1.
I think after getting beat at Villa, I think he'll go back to 5 at the back, and I think we might end up getting a draw. But with Alan St. Maximin, he's piled the pressure on him before he's even come back. He's going to need at least 5 games to get back up to match fitness from this long COVID or whatever it's called. And he's like, oh well, when he comes back, that's going to wave a magic wand and solve our problems. But he the people say he's like a man. He's a good boss. He's a man manager. He's not a good man manager.
No.
He slags the players off. He puts too much pressure on them. It's like he creates a siege. Benitez or someone like Mourinho create a siege mentality where he really defends his players, and behind closed doors he has got them, but in front of everybody he's like no, and he's like, it's them against us. And it's like, he's got it twisted. I think he's read the manual the wrong way around or something, and doesn't know what he's starting to do.
Yeah.
So have you got a score for the Leeds game on Tuesday?
One each.
Laura?
They're going to win, and then we'll get in the last minute. Callum Wilson's going to...
We'll shit house a draw, as per the season. Laura, what are you thinking?
I'm just going to go against everyone, and I just keep thinking of superstitious wise, if that's the right word. He's got to win at some point. I don't think it'll be Villa. It possibly could be against Leeds because they are so poor at the back. And so I think I'm going to go 2-1 at us.
Even a dead cat bounces, Laura. Even a dead cat bounces.
I'm gonna go 1-1 as well for Leeds, because I just can't see us winning. I can see us getting something, but it's not going to. For me, it's not going to be 3 points. No, it's not going to. And I don't see where we're going to get the win. But we'll see what happens. It's been an absolute pleasure, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm sorry for my camera keep falling over, but
some of the timing was when I whipped off Jonas's shirt.
You couldn't have planned me whipping off my shirt and running around the room. That was what it was.
Roger, thank you as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to my brand new co-host, Laura, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week with more Extra Tyne to have a look at another week in Newcastle United, but let's hope it's a little bit more positive. Don't forget, let's hope at least one, just a point.
That'll do. That's all we want.
That's all we want, just anything. Something. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel, and I will see you next week.